So we have some good news today when it comes to the news, and when I say today, at the time of posting this video, it's probably going to be more like, oh, I don't know, a day or so ago. But the good news is no more tax on tips. Yay! The bill in Senate, the passed, and everything passed as far as we know, so I'm going to break that down for you guys and just fill you in on all the details and let you know what's going on as far as I know it. So, unfortunately, the way these things work probably isn't going to become implemented until later this year, if not more likely next year. But we have this article here by USA Today. Let's get into it. Excuse me, I just finished eating. I probably shouldn't be recording after that, but you know how it is. Washington, the U.S. Senate on May 20th. Is that today? Man, I think it is. Unexpectedly passed a bill to create a new tax deduction on tips worth up to $25,000. The bill, introduced by Senator Ted Cruz, yeah, Texas for life, our Texas, was brought up for a voice vote by Senator Jackie Rosen, D. Nevada. It passed with unanimous consent, a rare occurrence for substantive legislation. The deduction would only apply to cash tips and could be claimed by people who earn up to $160,000, which would raise along with inflation. So, the deduction would only apply to cash tips, it says it again, and actually just repeats that whole sentence. Ending tax on tips would cost around $110 billion in federal revenues over the next 10 years. Who cares? Blah, 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 blah. Is there anything else worth of note here? In the floor speech bringing up the vote, Rosen noted that the proposal was one of President Donald Trump's key campaign promises. I'm not afraid to embrace a good idea wherever it comes from, she said. So I agreed we need to get this done. I do want to say a couple things. When I first read this, I thought, whoa, hold on. It only applies to cash tips. Now, I have this job, and I work. It's a valet job. It's a basic 9 to 5, and I've done a lot of different jobs and stuff over my 20s, and now I'm in my technically still early 30s. And hasn't been easy trying to clean things up, trying to improve my life. Haven't made the best choices, but I'm making some pretty decent ones now. So but unfortunately, at least as the time of this video, more likely, is I still work my 9 to 5. And because it's a valet job, tips is a big part of that. And so what happens is whenever we get tips, we get cash tips, of course, but then sometimes the customers will write in the tip. And I'm pretty sure it's probably very similar wherever you go, whether it's the gig stuff or you're a waitress or something. They could give you cash or they could write it out. Now, since I didn't know and I haven't really looked into this, I'm thinking to myself, I'm thinking cash. It's like, okay, cash. Does that mean because we're supposed to turn in all of our cash tips on how much we make? And of course I do. Scout's honor to our employers and stuff. But all of the things that are written in are automatically calculated to at least my employer, and then that goes on our check. And that has been taxed, just as cash would be. And so I thought, well, if they're only doing this with cash, does that count for written in tips? And so I had to look up, because everything that Google says is correct. Did you guys know that for most of the people watching YouTube videos, only a small percentage of those people are actually subscribed to those channels? But subscribing is really quick and easy. All you have to do is first to make a YouTube account, which is free, and then after that, go down to the video that you're watching, hit the like button, which goes a long way in helping out the algorithm, and then go over and hit the subscribe button. After you've hit the subscribe button, click the drop down arrow and click the option that says all, so that can notify you whenever a new video from this creator has dropped. Subscribing is free, and making a YouTube account is also free. It allows you to keep up with all of your favorite content creators, and of course it goes a long way in helping out my channel, and I really do appreciate it. So with all of that being said, back to the video. So I thought I had to check it out, because I just didn't know for sure. I thought maybe you think it'd be obvious, but you know, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, forgive me. What is considered a cash tip? So, for everyone who, lives off of tips, or tips is a big thing, this might be of interest to you. Based on the blah, 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 money given directly by a customer to an employee for service. This is the traditional cash tip, where the employee receives physical cash from the customer. This is AI, by the way, but that's okay. AI could never be wrong, right? Charge tips, like credit card or debit card tips, distributed to the employee by the employer, even if the tip is initially made electronically. If the employer then gives the equivalent amount to the employee in cash, it is considered a cash tip. Tips received from other employees through tip-sharing arrangements. If employee pool tips and then distribute the cash among themselves, this is also considered a cap tip. In summary, a cash tip is any tip payment received by an employee in the form of a physical cash, regardless of whether it was originally received directly from a customer, distributed by the employer, or received through a tip-sharing arrangement. And then here is the first official answer that isn't AI. Cash tips, I think. Cash tips include receipt from customers, charged tips, for example, credit and debit card charges, distributed to the employee by the employee's employer, and tips received from other employees under any tip-sharing arrangement. So, if I'm reading that rightly, especially this part right here, then that's from irs.gov. From what I understand is, even if they write in the tip, that's considered a cash tip. Now, I could be completely off of that, and if you are smarter than me, and I'm sure most of you guys watching are just way smarter than I am, if that's not true, and it's literally they have to give you literal physical cash, and then you report that, and then we're not taxed on that, but all other tips that are written in, we're still taxed, that would be brutal. That would be pointless, because almost everyone does the write-in. They do it through their phone, or they pay whenever they're paying, like on any kind of service. They ask, do you want to leave a tip afterwards? And they will have a percentage or something. It's almost all electronic. So I'm pretty sure, I mean, after reading this, it's like, yeah, it would cover that. If it does not, that is the stupidest thing in the world. The idea that, no, only paper cash. That sounds retarded to me. It can't be that. So, because when I first read that over here on this other website when we were going through it, I just thought, whoa, hold on. Like, when you say cash, do you mean like literally paper cash? And other than that, it's a no-go? That, I don't believe that's the case. And man, if that is the case, if I'm just really that dumb, and that is the case, and all the written in tips, and tips electronically, we're still taxed on that, this bill is pointless. Now, there's another degree to this. I believe they bring it up in this article. Let me see. Only that there's this last part they add at the end. USA Today. The measure would have limited impact for low income workers overall. Says you. Only around 2.5% of the workforce are in tipped occupations, according to this. Oh, a budget lab at Yale. Really? Whoa, a budget lab at Yale. I'm sure they've got all the answers. And 37% of tipped workers make so little that they don't pay federal income taxes. Yeah, I'm sure students going to Yale would completely understand what it's worth to work a gig job or a tip job or a waitress job, and actually live off of those tips. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if I didn't make tips off my job, I'd probably have to get a second job. In fact, I have had to get a second job even plus that, but it would be way worse if that wasn't the case. I suppose they don't mention it in this, but apparently, I will say this, word through the grapevine is that, what about the other stuff? What about things like no tax on overtime? There was also the other rumor, talk going around about no tax on anything, on income tax when it comes to people who are making, say, less than $100,000 a year, or that might not be the exact number, but it was something like that. So what about that kind of stuff? From what I've heard, watching other people who know a lot more about the stuff than I do, the strategy here is basically, instead of putting it all together in one large bill and trying to get it all passed, which would decrease the chances because there's just a bunch of people who are just nasty and don't care, instead they break it up into different segments. So they first immediately start passing the different things that everyone's kind of in agreement on, and then the bigger stuff they can kind of work through and try to hash that stuff out. So that's what I think is going on here. as of right now, there is still tax on overtime. If they can get rid of that, that's going to be a huge win. This in and of itself is a huge win, getting rid of tax on tips. And Trump promised it. Trump said, hey, and from everything I've seen and heard, no one is really complaining about this. Even people who hate Trump, it's just like, what can you still complain about? It's a win. It's something, you know. It may not be the highest peak, but it's something. And it's important for him to start getting stuff done. We're halfway into the first year of his presidency. And so it's good. It's something. Hopefully, fingers crossed, the rest comes. They start, you know, no tax on overtime. That would be a huge deal because I try to get overtime at my job. I know a lot of people do that. And then the bigger one is no tax on income tax on people who make underneath a certain amount. I can guarantee you that I would probably fall underneath that amount. And so that would be a huge, massive win. It makes perfect sense, too. It's like, well, let's tax the rich. You know, let's tax the rich and all the rich people. They're still going to be rich. I've got a better idea. How about we not tax the poor? How about that? And so if we work towards that, that would be amazing. I don't know. We'll see. But I think this is the good day. I think this is a win. And unless I'm mistaken about what this means, in which case, holy hell. Fingers crossed for brighter days. I don't know. But there you go, guys. I want to know your thoughts. Please let me know in the comments. If you have more information about this, let me know in the comments, and then everyone else can be more informed as well. I told you what I know, what I've seen, what I've researched, the little research that I did, but I did do some research on this. And let me know. Also, please don't forget to hit the like button and the subscribe button. Really appreciate that. And of course, guys, thanks for watching, and have a great freaking day.